Hello, all. I am the Reverend Clovice Lewis, a Unitarian Universalist minister who also happens to be on the board of the Middletown Art Center. I thank the MAC for welcoming me back this year to address this event and, most importantly, commemorate it. What a difference a year makes. I say Juneteenth is necessary for a great many reasons. Did you know that some southern states like Alabama make their employees choose between Jefferson Davis's birthday, which is actually on June 3rd, and Juneteenth? For these workers, the choice is to celebrate the birthday of the leader of a failed regime of racist insurrectionists or the birth of freedom for people enslaved by the Confederacy he headed. And it should not go unnoticed by any Americans that the racist flag of the Confederacy that Davis headed was not able to fly in the United States Capitol by force of arms. That did not happen until January 6th, 2021, when American citizens stormed our Capitol in the mistaken belief that the election in 2020 had been stolen from Donald Trump. If that was true, then why, some might ask, was that particular flag used by the insurrectionists? That answer is that the Confederate flag's role as a symbol of racism in the United States is intertwined with its historical origins and its contemporary use by those opposing racial equality and civil rights. And when I was young, my mother used to say, God doesn't like ugly. I'm talking about continued ugliness here in the United States of America. And here are some examples of what I mean. Police brutality and racial profiling have increased in recent years. High profile cases such as the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, and numerous others have highlighted the disproportionate use of excessive force by law enforcement against Black individuals. Black people are more likely to be stopped, searched, and arrested by police compared to their white counterparts. Data from organizations like Mapping Police Violence show that police kill Black people at a higher rate than white people. And while the number of police killings overall has remained relatively consistent in recent years, the racial disparities in these incidents have persisted. The gains made in diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and education about Black American history, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement in the wake of the brutal George Floyd murder, are now being quickly and forcefully unraveled under the pressure of so called anti woke policies. The white fragility that drives these efforts to deny the history and effects of systemic racism in our nation is very strong indeed. In addition to police brutality and racial profiling, political disenfranchisement of Black people is actually on the rise. The Supreme Court's decision to strike down key provisions of the Voting Rights Act in 2013 has played a substantial role in the political disenfranchisement of people of color. The Shelby County versus Holder decision has led to the implementation of laws and practices such as racial gerrymandering that restrict voting access, disproportionately affecting minority communities and undermining the protections that the VRA had provided for decades. Just on May 23rd of this year, the Supreme Court overturned a lower court's ruling that South Carolina's congressional map was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. The 6-3 decision in Alexander versus South Carolina State Conference of the NAACP allows the state of South Carolina to continue using its congressional map that divides and reduces Black political voting power in the state, while increasing the burden on voters who challenge unconstitutional racial gerrymanders in federal court. Commenting about the ruling, Selena Stewart, chief counsel at the League of Women Voters of the United States, said, "Today's ruling is white fragility in action. The court declares that it is more offensive for voters to claim racism than it is for legislatures to racially discriminate. This heinous decision denies Black voters and voters of color the ability to seek justice against racial discrimination in redistricting. And it makes clear that this court will continue using its power to further erode hard-fought legal protections against racial discrimination in voting. My friends, we celebrate Juneteenth today, but we have a long way to go. Aside from police brutality and voting and disenfranchisement, other pressing topics for people of color are hate crimes, disparities in the judicial system, economic inequalities, housing discrimination, educational disparities, healthcare inequities, representation in media and culture, and microaggressions, and plain old everyday racism. There is much of what my mother would call ugliness here in our great country. I don't have time to cover these issues, but I hope that the wonderful people on the panel the MAC has brought together will touch on them during our time together. Despite a few ongoing challenges I just highlighted, Juneteenth remains a vital and meaningful day. It is a day to honor the past, recognize the struggles and achievements of African Americans, and to recommit to the ongoing fight for equality and justice. Celebrating Juneteenth acknowledges the resilience and contributions of African Americans and serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of freedom and human rights for all. So again, I thank the Middletown Art Center for commemorating Juneteenth as a tradition important enough to celebrate every year in our community. And I hope this event grows beyond our county's confines and helps define our community as one that values any of it, that celebrates all struggles for equality and justice. Thank you.